A couple of your comments that you made, you said that this is just the tip of the iceberg, that the complaint intake process, investigation process wasn't adequate. Do you have any reason to believe that that this type of activity by career civil service employees at the Department of Labor is any different than at any other department?
No, not necessarily. I mean,
So it could be the same at other departments?
Yes.
And this your investigation focused on career rank and file employees within the Department of Labor, correct?
It focused on the 32,000 complaints that were recorded by Wage and Hour for fiscal 2007, and it was primarily related to that, in addition to the undercover calls we made, which are real-time calls in the last several.
And the folks who respond to those complaints are career rank and file employees?
That's correct, yes.
Do you know if any of those folks are members of a union?
That wasn't part of our discussion.
You wouldn't. They may or may not be.
We're not aware of that.
Right.
We've heard some comments from folks on the committee here that these employees were, quote, lying. It seemed that they were, quote, worn out or didn't care. Do you know if these would be the same level of employees that would be charged with handling, for example, a national health care program?
Don't know.
No way to know that.
No.
So it's possible that folks who are advocating for something like a national health care program, that these would be the same level of employees that would be answering the phone for complaints in that area as well. Is that correct?
The level of employees answering the phone ranges from, I think, a GS-5 all the way up to GS-12 investigator.
Could be the same.
So
Could be the same.
it's a regular.
So the prospect, it's curious, some of the calls or some of the recordings that you made or played for us, one of the employees gave the information to the individual calling that they had a private right of action. They could take their employer to court. That was accurate information, correct?
Yes, correct. They're oftentimes referred, when there's a backlog or we say can't get to your case, you can file a private lawsuit.
When I call the federal government, sometimes I get that too. You ought to go somewhere else. You ought to look to somebody else. You ought to try some other avenue. So it's wholly likely that folks who would be wanting to set up a nationalized pension plan, 401k plan run by the federal government, that the employees who would be responsible for investigating or answering challenges to a plan like that would be the same level of employee as these folks. Is that correct?
If they're between what Mr. Myers said, GS-5 and 12, it's possible. It's just something we don't have any direct knowledge of.
So the prospect for allowing the federal government to be more intrusive in other areas of our lives, health care and financial security for one's family, might be under the control of folks just like the people, the 19% that have, as some others have said, were just worn out. Is that accurate?
It's possible.
It's possible.
Sure, it's possible.
Yeah. Well, as a physician, member of Congress, it concerns me greatly that there are members of the House of Representatives who are clearly convinced this is exactly where we need to go to have the federal government running our entire health care system, and consequently it is instructive to look to other areas that the government controls, I believe, for increasing education of both members of the House of Representatives, Congress, and the American people as to what that might look like. Thank you. I yield back.